Hello, my name is Dan Holiday. Welcome to climbingarborist.com. I've got an absolutely outrageous video for you on tree planting today, and the video is going to show what not to do when you're tree planting, because on this site we've got this whole apartment complex, and pretty much every single tree, there might be over 100 trees planted here, and every single one of them has been planted incorrectly. And I just want to highlight this point really.
Hello.
I just want to show you basically some of the trees that have been planted, why it's bad, what happens when the planting is bad, how to not do it incorrectly. I suppose this definitely a video for arborists and people that plant trees, but probably more so this video is going to be for landscapers, because I feel like the landscaping companies are the ones that get the contracts to do these kind of like big re-landscaping apartment complexes, and you'll come across this so often as an arborist, and I just want to highlight some of the ways it's done badly. Look at this beautiful new complex. It's maybe about 5 years old or so now. Putting all this nice new landscaping here, and this is exactly what I want to talk to you about. So if you look at all these fairly newly planted trees, and what we're going to do is we're going to take a closer look at some of these trees, because it is absolutely outrageous that the landscaping company has got away with planting the trees and basically leaving them either in the burlap wrap with all the twine attached, like you can see here. Look at all that twine on there. It's just absolutely it's basically contained the roots so much that all the roots have started to like burst up onto the surface, just trying to escape the burlap wrap. And obviously now, as they've grown a little in size, the tree's putting on size and putting on girth, and it's wrapping around the twine, which obviously is not good. But at this point the damage has already been done. Just by snipping that twine is not really going to help much, because the damage of the roots growing in an unnatural manner, coming to the surface, trying to get out of the wrap, girdling around. Like, you wouldn't usually see so much kind of like surface roots everywhere on such young trees. Look at the twine, you can see the twine there. Especially, looking at a tree this size, but seeing all the kind of surface roots just kind of growing over each other. And then you come here, you see this root. This is what's called a girdling root. It's kind of growing around, and as this grows in size and as the trunk grows in size, it starts to do damage to the cells that take up the water and the nutrients and all that kind of stuff, and it just basically constricts the tree of like uptake of water and nutrients. And planting in the wrap has just forced all these roots to come to the surface to get out of the wrap. Yeah, it's terrible. So here's a look at some more of the landscaping. As you can see, it looks kind of nice on the face of it, until we start looking a little deeper. So go across this little bridge, and then you'll see these couple of trees. Look at this one. It's in a metal cage. It's got a lot of twine. You can even see you can see the shape of the root ball it came in. It's, you know, it's not even been planted well. Still got that metal cage on. The same with this little Japanese maple over here as well. It's almost like they kind of, I don't know, ran out of time and they just plonked it down and moved some soil around it. It's just absolutely outrageous. A row of Japanese maples along the backside of the building, and if you just take a look at this again, look at all that. You've got the metal cage here, you've got all this twine still tied around there. You can see the bulge where that's the original root ball, the bulge there. You've got these surface roots coming up. You've got these surface roots all kind of escaping out of here and growing along the wall. You've got this twine that hasn't been cut off, and so the tree is now kind of starting to grow around it. You can feel like there's even like a ridge there now as the tree's kind of like growing further out than where the twine is, so it's creating this like little bulge. I mean, there's absolutely no hope for any one of these trees. And then you got this little walkway through here, and it's just the same story. You got this evergreen magnolia. Look at, you can see all the twine on there of this maple tree, and you can see basically where the root ball was, and you've got all these bulging roots coming up and out. And it's just the same on like all of these trees as we walk down. I mean, look at this one. This is absolutely horrendous. Look how much that root ball just bulges above everything. It's got the twine on there. It's got a cage. I mean, how much money did it cost to get all this landscaped? And it's just an absolute waste of money. Every single one of these trees is just gonna die prematurely. They're never gonna thrive. The days are numbered, really. And then whose expense is that? It's basically the expense of the strata, which is basically like the entire apartment block kind of clubbed together, and they have like, it's called a strata here in Canada, and so all the owners are basically going to have to fund re-landscaping at some point. Going to have to fund the removal when they all die. Going to have to fund the landscaping. It's just, I don't know, it's sad, it's like frustrating, it makes you angry. I mean, not me personally, because it's not, I mean, it does make me angry, because just to see how badly it's done by people who are supposed to be professionals in like a landscaping trade. And yeah, I was speaking to the property management company that deals with it, and I said, look, like, all these trees are going to die prematurely. They've been planted so badly. You need to go to the landscaping company and see if you can get any kind of refund. And they were like, yeah, but it was done like 5 years ago. And then they obviously realised to the extent in the expense of everything, and now they've said, do you think it's going to be possible to get a report on this planting and all these trees? And maybe they will try and take action. But I just don't understand, like, how landscaping companies can still employ people who think that it's the done thing to plant in burlap wrap or in the cages. Like, do they not train their staff to know how to plant? Like, that is their job. Their job is to plant trees, plant shrubs. It's absolutely infuriating. And like, who are these companies that are doing it? Who are the employees that are doing it? Like, where is the training? Who is telling them to plant in the burlap sack? Because on a job like this, there's not just one person doing all the work. There's probably a team of like maybe 10 people, or even more, maybe, because all the shrubs, all the trees, getting them off the trucks. Like, it's got to be a big operation to do all of this work. And so I didn't see one tree there that looks like it had been planted correctly. Every single root ball was like bulging up above grade. So obviously the roots are trying to find room to grow, and so every single tree must have been planted in the burlap or in the cage or something that's restricting growth. So landscapers, learn how to plant trees properly, do your job properly, stop costing other people money, and hopefully some people somewhere might learn something from watching this video. So right, now I've finished ranting about how not to plant a tree and how angry I got. I'm going to give you a few simple tips on how to plant a tree. Now, planting a tree is pretty basic. There's just a few key points to really make sure you do to get maximum success rate. So, number one, the hole. So it's best to dig a square hole rather than a round hole, because if you put a tree into a round hole, there's a good chance that the roots might hit the edge of the hole and then just start to go around and round and round like they're in a container, because it's easy for them to kind of hit the edge slightly sideways and then start to wrap around the hole. Whereas if you dig a square hole and you've got these 90-degree angles and corners, the roots might get to the flat edge and start to go sideways, but once they get to the corner of the hole, then the roots will kind of plunge through that harder, more compact soil and then start growing out, and you'll just get a more stable and stronger root system that way, and from early on. So it'll really root well. So dig a square hole rather than a round hole. Secondly, obviously, I've just said it over and over again, remove any burlap or any cages that you get and just put it in the soil. So the next thing is tease some of the roots out. Say if you get it in a container or you get it in burlap sack, and some of the, less likely in burlap that the roots will be wrapping around like you do in a plant pot in a container, but tease some of the roots out gently so that they'll start to grow out into the soil, and that will stop them continuing to wrap around as they would do in a plant pot. So if you get them in like a big container, the roots, if you don't tease them out, they might continue to grow around like as if they're still in the container. Okay, so the next thing, you want to find the root flare. So sometimes if you get a tree from a nursery, they'll have buried the root flare maybe, I don't know, like 4 or 5 inches. Every tree has a root flare. So if your tree is coming out of the soil and the trunk is just straight from the ground up and there's no deviation in girth, then the root flare has been buried, and only maybe a couple of inches, but every tree will start to flare down where the roots are. So you want to uncover that flare, and that wants to be your grade. So before you put it in, uncover the little root flare. If there's any soil that has been kind of built up around the stem, uncover the flare, and then you want to fill the bottom of your hole so that when you put the tree in the hole, the flare is at grade level. Okay? Another tip, when you backfill in the hole with the soil, you just want to use your heel, so heel in all the soil, and that'll get it nice and compact. Obviously you're never going to be able to compact the soil too much, but using the kind of the point of the heel, you really can get that in so that the tree feels nice and stable when you first put it in. It's not too loosey-goosey, and then when you water it as well, all the soil won't like sink down like it would if you didn't heel it in and get all that excess air pockets out. One of the main tip is staking. So when you're staking, maybe it's quite common to use 2 stakes, one either side of the tree. You can even use 3 stakes in a bit of a triangle, but 2 stakes. And then use some webbing. Common way is 2 stakes and use an arbor tie from each stake to stabilize it. Or if you've got 3, then you're triangulating and you're using arbor tie from each stake, or in 2 directions if you've got 2 stakes. The arbor tie is like a flat kind of tape, flat webbing. It's maybe an inch and a half thick. That's just so that it's gentle on the stem of the tree, and not like twine where it would like cut into the bark. And you don't want it really tight either. You want to let the tree have a bit of natural movement so that the root system starts to strengthen and build stability. So those are my tips for planting a tree. It's pretty simple. There you go. Thanks for watching. Pass it on. Let's educate and do things properly. Cheers.